All right. Pialimo Juantin, Nani Diego, Juanielis Inmotlamachtic. Hi everyone, I'm Diego and I'm going to be your Nahuatl teacher. I go by Pakilistli, that's my artistic name. But you could also call me Bolot, which means scorpion. You can call me Diego or you could call me Pakilistli. I'm completely open with that. Today we're going to give you a general introduction to Nahuatl and we're going to make this interactive. Okay, so first we're going to start a little bit about me and how I started my journey with Nahuatl. I started back in 2013 studying from books, from classical Nahuatl. And then what happened is at that point, I understood the grammar of Nahuatl, but I wasn't able to actually speak. And so the only way for me that I got good at speaking Nahuatl was getting help from native speakers from Guerrero and from the Wastaka region. I joined Tlahtol Tapasoli here in Los Angeles in 2016. We are a small collective group that are passionate about Nahuatl, and I'm using Tlahtol Tapasoli's Zoom, so they're providing that support for me. And Tlahtol Tapasoli got me onto that next level where I could actually start practicing to speak because I could practice with peers and other people who were passionate about Nahuatl. So now at this point, I started in 2013, it's been 7 years, and now I'm able to carry on a conversation with you on a one-to-one basis. And so I speak Wastaka Nahuatl, I'm trilingual. Aside from being a Nahuatl teacher, I am also an artist, a crochet artist. You see some of my work on the left, and I'm also a pharmacist. Okay. All right. So about this course, the overall goal of the whole course, I'm going to have about a total of 3 courses that are structured. And these 3 courses, the overall goal is to get you to be able to be fluent. And that's why we got to make it interactive. Okay? This very first section that we're starting is course number 1. The overall goal of course number 1 is to make present tense sentences, meaning Nahuatl has the conditional tense, Nahuatl has the past tense, future tense, all those tenses that other languages have, but they're a little bit complex. And so in the first course, which is about 20 to 30 lessons, I'm only going to focus on the present tense sentences. However, in course number 2, we're going to make more complex sentences. We're going to talk about the future, the past, etc. And then in course number 3, we're going to cover more advanced topics. We're going to have more literature, songs, etc. The structure of the class is meant to be interactive. It's free. You don't have to donate. You can just watch it later. If you want to support me in a free way, all you really have to do is share my videos. And sharing my videos gets me a wider audience. And so that's an easy way for you to support me. I'm completely open for you to share my videos. I want this information to be as available as widely as possible. And these are going to be once a week. If you do Wednesdays, Thursdays, or Fridays at 7 p.m., the classes are exactly the same. And then each week I'm going to have a new topic, so you only really have to attend one session. What you'll learn today I'm going to give you an overall bird's eye view of the language. I'm going to tell you about the Nahuatl variety that we're learning. We're going to compare the writing system of classical versus the practical alphabets. And then I'm going to give you general characteristics of Nahuatl. And towards the end of the class, we're going to do actual exercises and we're going to construct simple sentences. Okay, so where do they speak Nahuatl? Nahuatl is the 2nd largest language aside from Spanish. It has about 1.5 million speakers in Mexico. However, Nahuatl is not only spoken in Mexico, it is also spoken in El Salvador, and there it is called Nahuatl Pipil. Nahuatl Pipil is mutually intelligible with Nahuatl from Mexico. I've listened to Nahuatl Pipil on YouTube and on different videos, and I'm able to understand about 80% of it. In Mexico, you can find native speakers in Guerrero, Puebla, Morelos, Michoacán, Milpa Alta, etc. Nahuatl was so big before the arrival of the Spanish because of the Aztec Empire, and the Aztec Empire had a lot of mercenaries called the Wastaka, and they expanded the use throughout of Nahuatl throughout all of central Mexico. And additionally, when the Spanish arrived, for about 300 years after the arrival of Spanish, Nahuatl was still the main language spoken, and then it was changed around the 1800s to make Spanish the main language of Mexico. But before that, most people spoke Nahuatl. The specific variety of Nahuatl that we're going to be learning is called Wastaka Nahuatl. On the right, I have you see the green region and the blue region. Those regions right here, this is the region where Wastaka Nahuatl is spoken. The specific variety of Wastaka Nahuatl that we're gonna learn is from the town of Chicontepec, Veracruz. Wastaka Nahuatl has the greatest amount of speakers in terms of Nahuatl, and the second greatest amount of speakers are speakers from Guerrero. The main differences between the different varieties of Nahuatl is mainly vocabulary and some of the grammar. However, Nahuatl is mutually understandable between the different varieties. There's about 30 different varieties. When I listen to Nahuatl from other places, I can generally understand what they're saying, except there may or may not be some differences, and I might have questions about certain parts, but for the most part, I understand what they're saying. We're gonna learn Wastaka Nahuatl, and somebody earlier had asked me, well, what is classical Nahuatl? Classical Nahuatl is the Nahuatl spoken by the nobility in the 1500s in Tenochtitlan. The reason that this variety is so important is because there's a lot of literature that has been written in this variety of Nahuatl. So if you go and find literature in Nahuatl, a lot of the time you'll find classical Nahuatl literature. And so it refers to this specific time period between the 1500s and the 1600s. Okay? All right. So what is right now, Nahuatl does not have a standardized writing system. Nahuatl has two competing alphabets at this moment. On the left, you see the classical alphabet. The classical alphabet basically uses the writing conventions of Spanish, because what happened was when the Spanish arrived, Nahuatl didn't have a writing system that was phonetic. It was more like logographic. And so like pictures represented words or parts of words. And so when the Spanish arrived, they tried to write the language more phonetically. And so they used a lot of the writing conventions of Spanish. So you see on here, we have the first word, we have Cihuatl. And if you notice, the CI is not pronounced Chihuat or Chihuat or other ways that you may imagine. It's pronounced like an S, right? And that's because it follows the same writing conventions as Spanish, where if an I follows a C, it's pronounced like an S. Also, you notice right here, we have Wa, Cihuat, the HUA. Well, that is a writing convention of Spanish. HUA generally is how you would pronounce the Wa sound in Spanish. Wa, we, we, like that. HUA, HUE, HUI. So, and on the right, you'll see the practical alphabet and how they write Cihuat, they write an S, and they write it with a W. And so the advantages of the classical system is that it expresses the grammatical structure of Nahuatl better. However, the problem with it is that it doesn't reflect how Nahuatl is actually pronounced, whereas the practical alphabet does show how Nahuatl is actually pronounced. It's more accurate. The classical writing system has more text that exists, and so that's why it's kind of beneficial to learn it. But on the other hand, the practical alphabet is generally what the native speakers of modern Nahuatl actually use. And so you see here the comparison of how you would write all these four words, like Tlacat, Tlahtoli, Nictzacua. Quali? All right. So the general characteristics of Nahuatl. So if you speak English and Spanish, you may or may not be used to an agglutinating language. And so what is an agglutinating language? An agglutinating language, you can think about it as like the word glue. So you have a lot of prefixes and you have a lot of suffixes, you know, parts of grammar that you add to a word to change its meaning. And so Nahuatl does this very extensively. You add a lot of particles in the front and at the end to change the meaning of words. So if you've seen Nahuatl words in the past, you'll notice that a lot of the words are really, really long. And you might think, oh my God, that's overwhelming. And when I first started, it was overwhelming. However, what you have to think in the back of your head is that the reason that the words are so long is because more is being expressed. And it's being expressed within one word rather than separating the words out, because that's just the structure of Nahuatl. So here I have an example of a progression of how one word, one simple word is broken down into its parts and how it can get bigger and bigger. Okay, so the first word that I have here is tlatohket. Okay, so you see this little star separates the words or the particles that make up this word. So this word tlatohket means speaker, but it's broken down into these three parts. Tla, which means things, Ihtoa, which is a verb that means to say something, and then ket, which is, it indicates that somebody is doing this action. So literally in Nahuatl, when you say the word speaker, you're literally saying a person who says things, which is what a speaker is. And so this is basically the general structure of Nahuatl. You use a lot of little particles to construct a bigger idea. Okay, so you thought, okay, tlatohket is already a long word. However, you can make it even longer. So if you add the word xochitl, which a lot of Mexicans, they have this name, xochitl, although they may say xochitl because the SH sound doesn't exist in Spanish. Xochitl means flower. Well, if you add this particle xochitl in front of tlatohket, now the meaning of this word changes. Now it doesn't just mean speaker, it means flowery speaker. So a flowery speaker is how is literally what you're saying. However, now it translates more like poet, because in the Nahuatl vision, a poet is a flowery speaker. Okay, Wally? All right, so and if you thought that was long, you can actually construct a whole sentence in Nahuatl to express, I am a poet. So here you have the word for poet, which is xochitlatohket, and then you put the particle ni in front of it, which refers to I, and then that ni indicates that you're talking about me, or I, right? So now it's ni xochitlatohket. That expresses the whole sentence, which is, I am a poet. Okay? So you can add things on the front of a word, but you could also add things at the end of a word. So here I have the sentence, which is, we are poets. We, in order to construct this sentence, we add the particle ti, and then at the end of the verb xochitlatoa, which means to say poetry, you add the particle ni, and that changes the meaning of this whole phrase to mean we are poets. So the ti refers to we, and the ni is still one of those agents, but it indicates more than one person doing it. So se, which is one xochitlatohket, one poet, versus miak, many xochitlatoani. Okay? So this ni just makes it plural, makes it more than one. Any questions, or everything is clear?
Sorry, quick question.
Yes.
Is the H in Nahuatl pronounced or no?
Mm-hmm. It is pronounced, it's just very subtle. So if you hear, I say tlatohket, that H is an aspiration. So you expel air out of your mouth after the vowel. So tla, right here, tla, and then to, like an H, get. And it's subtle, and sometimes you may or may not hear it. And next week when we talk about the alphabet, I'm going to give you more examples and you can hear it better. And you'll understand why it matters, why this H matters. Cool?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so now we're going to actually practice what we're learning. So mati tla hie hie kokan. Let's practice. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to play Kahoot with ahkia ini. All right, so first I'm going to teach you Akiaini, which is who is this? And we're gonna play Kahoot, and you're gonna tell me who it is. Okay. All right. So first, we're gonna start with na. So it really helps if you point at the people you're talking about. Okay. So if you notice in this picture, you see a man, and this man is holding a mirror, and that mirror is showing a picture of his face. So you know what na is, right? Na. Na. Wali. All right. Ta. 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 So na and ta. Ta. Wali. And then we have ya. Ya. Notice in this picture that the finger is pointing towards a woman, and it is also pointing towards a man. So in Nahuatl, this ya does not have gender. Nahuatl is a non-gendered pronoun. It has no genders in pronouns, which means that a woman is a ya, and a man is a ya, or anything in between. Okay? Everybody is ya. Well, all right? So let's do it again. Na, ta, and ya. Okay? Well. So now, look at this picture. It's a lot of people together. There's a lot of togetherness here. So tohuantin is what I'm trying to express in this. So who knows or who can guess what tohuantin means?
It means we.
Kuali, 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 tohuantin. So na, ta, ya, and tohuantin. Now you're sitting in a chair like I am, and you're looking at all these people in front of you, like in this picture. Those people to you, they are inmohuantin. They are inmohuantin. Okay? Wali? Inmohuantin. So all of you watching me right now are inmohuantin to me. Inmohuantin. Wali? Okay. Last one. There was a group of people over there, like you see in this picture. I would call them inihuantin. Inihuantin. All right? Wali. So now I'm going to repeat it once again. You know, this is your pre warm up for the quiz that we're about to do. Okay? So let's do it one more time. Na, ta, ya, tohuantin, imohuantin, and inihuantin. Wali? All right. Wali. So now we're gonna play Kahoot. So I'm gonna share a new screen with you. Okay. You're signed in. All right, so for this experience to be super helpful and interactive, the best experience is if you're on a computer and you have your cell phone to answer the questions. If you only have your cell phone and you're watching me on your cell phone, the best experience for you is just to continue watching me on your cell phone, and you probably can't interact, but you could watch other people and interact. If you're watching me on a computer, pull out your cell phone and go to www.kahoot.it. I'm about to show you that on screen. You all see the Kahoot screen, correct? If you don't see it, you need to let me know. So we're about to get, and you're going to see the instructions. It's going to tell you what website to go to in case you misunderstood me, and you're going to see a code. So go on your phone to www.kahoot.it, and then input this code 320-2035, and then it's gonna ask you for your nickname. You choose your best, most amazing alter ego nickname, and you will participate, and hopefully you get to learn something, okay? So we have about 30-ish people in the chat or participating. So I'm gonna wait till we get to about 30-ish, or until we know it's not changing anymore. Another thing I want to tell you is when the quiz actually starts, on your cell phone, you're going to see different colors. Those colors correspond to the answers that you're going to see on your computer screen. So make sure you match the color on your cell phone with the color on the answers that you see on the computer screen. You're not going to see them now until I start the quiz. All right, we're at 23. I'm gonna count down from 10 if it happens. I'm sorry. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's start. All right, so we're gonna play Ahkiyainin. Who is this? Ahkiyainin. Ahkiyainin. Is it ta? Is it ya? Is it na? Or is it inihuanti? All right. So most people got na. Na is the correct answer. Remember na? And that picture has a guy looking at himself in the mirror. So it's na. Wali. Wali. Ahkiyainin. 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 Okay, so this one wasn't very clear, it looks like. There's a good spread. So when I'm talking to the people who are in front of me, like all of you or y'all, like in the South, you are all inmohuanting to me. So maybe I didn't make it clear, but all of you who are in front of me, if I had a group of people, they would be inmohuanting to me. Some people may have confused it with inihuanting. I understand why 8 people thought that. Inihuanting sounds very similar. So be able to go back to the, at the end of this lecture, I'm gonna have summary slides that have all the translations for you. So at the end of the slides, go look at those answers and really memorize them. Practice it on your own. All right. Ahkiyainin. Is it ya? Is it na? Is it ta? Or is it tohuanting? All right, quali. Most of you got this correct. It is ya, and remember, if it's a man or a woman or anything in between, it's a ya. Nahuatl doesn't have that debate of genders because it's not a gendered language. Professions, pronouns, they all don't have a gender, and so in Nahuatl, they're all the same. Ahkiyainin. So there's a group of people over there, and you're pointing at them. Ahkiyainin. Kuali. Inihuantin. Kuali. All right, you have 2 more to go. Ahkiyainin. Ahkiyainin. Kuali. Ininta. Ininta. Kuali. Last one. Ahkiyainin. Ahkiyainin. Kuali. Inintohuantin. Inintohuantin. All right. So let's go back to the class. Actually, this is good. All right, you can see who won here. Moment of truth. All right, Lilia. Confetti drop. Sparkles. And amazing. All right, cool. All right, Wally. Let me silence that. And now we're gonna go back to the presentation, which I believe is here. You all see the presentation, right? Thumbs up if you do. All right, Wally. So we just played Kahoot. Now we're gonna play Tleninin. What is this? Eh, Wally? Oh, I want you to notice one thing that's very important. Notice that there is no word in there for is, okay? Nahuatl in the present tense does not have the word for is. It exists in the future tense, it exists in past tense, it exists in all the other tenses, but when you're talking about something that is right now, like is a house, is a cat, is, you know, something like that, Nahuatl doesn't have a word for it, it's implied in Nahuatl. So right here we have tleninin, which is what is this? Tleninin. The word tlen is just what, and inin is this. So there, it literally just says what this, because in Nahuatl it's implied. Right? Vale. So inin se siwatl. Inin se siwatl. Inin se siwatl. Inin se tlacatl. Inin se tlacatl. Inin se tlacatl. Inin se conetl. Inin se conetl. Inin se conetl. Cuali. Inin se masewali. Inin se masewali. Inin se masewali. Wan inin se masewali. Cuali? I hope that based on that context, you can understand what each of these words mean. So we're gonna do it one more time, okay? Pay attention, because after this, you're about to be quizzed again, all right? Inin se siwatl. Inin se tlacatl. Inin se conetl. Inin se masewali. Inin se masewali. Wan inin se masewali. Wali? All right. So now we're gonna go back to playing our amazing game Kahoot. And Let's do it. All right, we're gonna play another game. This is gonna mark it at me right now. I already did this 3 times. It's about to mark it. Oh, it didn't mark it at me. Oh, great. All right. So now we're gonna play this game. Okay. Yeah, 6 questions again. I'm going to do this. All right. So you're gonna pull out your phone again, like you did previously. Go to that same website, and then you're gonna put code once the class starts, once you see it on the screen. All right. I guess 2 people gave up on me, or 3. Ooh, the shade is getting real. All right. Well, I guess only 3 people don't participate. All right, let's start. I'm gonna give you 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. All right. Let's go. Cleaning. 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 All right. All of you got it. It looks like Stiwat. Kuali, Stiwat. Inin se Stiwat. Kuali. All right. Tlen inin. Tlen inin. Kuatochin. Se Siwat. Seconet. So sequawit. Tlen inin. Kuali. Inin se conet. Inin se conet. All right, somebody's moving on up. All right. Tlen inin. Tlen inin. Inin se tlacat. Inin se tecuani. Inin se tlamantli. So inin se tlacuachin. Kuali. Inin se tlacat. All right. All right, now true or false. Inin masewali. Inin masewali. So kena ashkana. Don't worry, you'll learn that next lesson anyway, but just, that's a common question people have. Kuali, kena, inin masewali. Right? True or false? Inin masewali. Kena ashkana. All right, kuali. Inin ashkana masewali. Inin ashkana masewali. Kuali. All right, last one. Inin masewali? Inin se masewali? Kwali. Kena inin se masewali. All right, let's see who won. All right, so her number 3. Tlecoatl, number 2. And Mr. or Mrs. about to be famous, Dr. Manhattan. Vale. Right. So now let's go back to the class. All right. So I think the majority of you understood the lesson, and I hope that that was really helpful for you. Here I have a summary of all the words, pretty much most of the words that we used in this lecture. So we have na, ta, ya, tohuantin, imohuantin, inihuantin. Ahkia, who, tlen, what, ini, this, siwat, woman, tlacat, man, conet, child, and masewali. So I wanted to say one last thing about the word masewali. So masewali is the word that Nawa speakers use to refer to themselves. And so it can mean person or it can mean indigenous person. It has both meanings in Nawa. So just be aware of that, okay? Next week, we're gonna be covering the alphabet and the stress of words. And so next week, it's gonna be a little bit more intense, a little bit more deep, a little bit more grammatical. So, you know, sleep well and, you know, make sure you pay attention next week. But now, I just want to say, Tasokamati Miak, thank you very much. My name is Akibistri, and here's my Venmo in case you want to donate, and Patreon, PayPal, etc. I want to thank Tlatul Tapasoli, who has supported me a lot, and all the Nahuatl teachers like Ofelia and Jan Garcia, who have helped me tremendously in becoming fluent. So I also, you know, I've had a lot of teachers that I, you know, can't remember, but thank Tlazokamati Miak, and now we're gonna open it up to Tlatlanilistli questions. All right. So if you can unmute yourself now, and if you have any questions, definitely let me hear you out. If there aren't any questions, I'm gonna go through the chat and I'm gonna see if other people ask the questions. It's really hard for me to follow up with the chat while I'm lecturing or talking. All right, nobody has questions on the chat, which is good. All right, so here's your moment. You know, ask me what you want to ask me. It can be anything about what I taught you, or it could be anything you've been wondering. Even if it's going to be a future lecture, I can answer the question more than likely.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
For Conet, is that for boy and girl, or it just means child? Can you apply it for either one?
Yeah, so remember now it doesn't have genders. Now so Conet means child. And just like there's also the word for brother or sister, it's basically sibling, it's ikni. And so when you say ikni, it can mean a woman or a man. So Conet, same thing. Now, is there a way to say girl? Yes, you would add siwa, which means woman, and then in front of Conet, and now it means like woman, child. And so siwa Conet is like girl. Like female child, siwa Conet.
Okay.
So there is a mechanism in Nahuatl to make things gendered. By default, it is not gendered.
I have a question.
Yes.
And when you were saying se siwa, se tlaca, se conet, when or what is the se?
Se. So how many people did you sing?
Wow. One. Se.
Kena.
So what would the plural be of that?
of, okay, we're gonna cover plurals in the future, but I'll tell you now. You could say se, conech, and miak, many, miak, conemme, conemme. So you add a me to the noun. Take away the TL, add a me, conemme.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I have another question. If no one else has another question, this is not particularly about what you shared with us today, but more so. So the pronunciation of the L at the very end of words. Why is that? When is that? Is that a thing? Is that right? Is that a regional thing?
Are you talking about words ending
Like
in
Nahuatl
L
or like
Mhm.
Nahuatl or Nahuatl?
Okay, so you kind of brought up a lot of issues, but for example, you will see a lot of words that end in TL, TLI, LLI, and some of them end in IN. Those words that you see ending in TL or TLI and LLI and IN, those are nouns. So when you see those words, it indicates it's a noun. And that's one issue. The second issue is the TL. So I was speaking earlier to somebody. For me, it sounds like nails on a chalkboard when people say Nahuatl, like that. But I don't, blame you for it because, you don't speak the language. You're gonna make mistakes. The way to pronounce it is this. So, do you speak Spanish?
I'm sorry?
Do you speak Spanish?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're gonna make a letter T like in Spanish, not a T like in English. So it's like a ta, right? Okay, that's the first step. Second step, when you're doing that T, expel air through the sides like you're a snake. Okay, and now last step, do it fast, like a click. That's the sound you're trying to make. So it's
wow.
And then last thing, if you are not able to pronounce it, because I get it, it's not an easy sound, and it takes a little bit of practice, but you could do it with the steps that I just showed you. You can also pronounce it like just the T, because there are some varieties of Nahuatl that don't have the TL. They just say it with a T. So they don't say Nahuatl, they say Nahuatl with the T. So if you still can't pronounce it, just pronounce it as a T, and it'll sound significantly better than Nahuatl or Quetzalcoatl and all that stuff. Okay? All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Man, we must have a lot of introverts because.
You say that you don't pronounce the C, or the X. Like, how would you pronounce the X? Like, the X just sounds like C, something like that. The pronunciation is what I have a hard time with.
Mm-hmm. Next week, we're going to go through each of the letters and talk about how each of the letters is pronounced. But I'll tell you the answer now. The X is an SH sound. So it's Mexica, MEXICA. I'll write it to everybody. So Mexica. The word for tomato, so shitomat. It's an X, an SH sound, not an X and not a J like in Spanish, like Mexican Spanish.
Wait, can you say it?
It's an SH. So Mexica, shitomat, Mexica. So like the name of Mexico is, we say Mexico like with an X because that's how we pronounce this. X is in English, and in Spanish, Mexican Spanish, they might say Mexico with the J. Well, that's because they don't have the SH sound. So the closest they came up with was Mexico with the J sound, but it's really Mexico.
Oh, Mexico. Oh, okay. Thank you.
And in fact, that's what they call the capital, Mexico Tenochtitlan, Mexico City. Somebody's asking me an unrelated question. I'll leave the unrelated question towards the end, but more Nahuatl questions.
I think someone, Zohar, said or asked if you want to practice pronunciation, whether you have any resources. Did you answer that?
Well, I say wait for next week, because next week we're gonna go through every single letter, and I already made the homework, and and we're gonna do an exercise where I'm gonna have somebody participate and say like, hey, you wanna pronounce this? You're gonna make mistakes, I'm gonna correct you, or you're not gonna make mistakes and I'm not gonna correct you. But we're essentially gonna focus on just that next week. And you're gonna have a homework on it that you can check your answers with. This week, there's no homework, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what is the context for understanding the Masewali? In other words, when are they referring to themselves or versus, say, an indigenous self? How do you distinguish which one?
Well, it's kind of ambiguous, right? Because you got to think the people who come up with their term for themselves are going to use a positive term, right? So a person who says Masewali is going to say, oh, this means person, or it means indigenous person. But then those labels are also created to like separate themselves from somebody else. So they have an alternative term for somebody who is not a native person, which is Koyot. So they say, oh, ni Masewali, I'm a native or indigenous person. And then, but you can interpret that as I'm a person. And they say, ti Koyot, you are an outsider. So that's why that, but also the reason I also bring that up is because Nahuatl is one way to call the language, right? But you could also call it Masewal Tlahtoli, which I'm writing to everybody right now on the chat. So you can also call it Masewal Tlahtoli. So if you break that down to its components, on the left you have Masewali, and on the right you have Tlahtoli. Tlahtoli means word, it means language, it means speech. It has a lot of different meanings, but in this context, Masewal Tlahtoli means like person's language, or you could interpret it as indigenous language. And in fact, this can mean Nahuatl, the language, or it can mean general indigenous languages, other indigenous languages, Purépecha, Otomi, Totonaco, Chol, Yucateco. It can mean any of them. Okay, someone's saying, how much does classical / noble Nahuatl differ from what we are learning? In terms of the general writing, since we're using the classical alphabet, the writing is very similar in terms of how you pronounce it, except that in classical Nahuatl, the H's that we use, that we pronounce as aspirations, they are now pronounced. So in classical times, they were pronounced as glottal stops, and now they're pronounced as H's. If you don't know what a glottal stop is, it's that sound that, you know, people from like, let's say Britain, they may not say little, they might say little. That stop in the sound, that's the glottal stop, that little, that. So where you see H's, like in the word tlahtoli, well, in classical times, they would have said tlahtoli instead of tlahtoli. So where you see a lot of H's, that's where the glottal stop used to be. That's one main difference. The other thing is, since classical times, there's been what, like 500 years that have passed. All languages change. So Nahuatl, of course, has also changed. And so because through the influence of Spanish, a lot of the structure has gotten to be more similar to Spanish than to the traditional Nahuatl. And so in traditional Nahuatl, they have the word in a lot, which is not used anymore in Wastaka Nahuatl, or just the general construction, like the order of the subject, the verb, and the object. They're more closer to Spanish versus traditional Nahuatl was verb, subject, object. And so, but I would say if you're a native speaker, like my teacher, she can generally understand the meaning of a classical text, but there's going to be differences. And then the other thing is this: some of the words, their meanings have also changed with time. How much? Okay. And then what about regional differences? Okay, so there are about 30 different regions. I'm giving you a general number because, truth be told, to distinguish one variety of Nahuatl from another, it's a spectrum, so you can't really necessarily put a number because every town is going to be slightly different. In terms of being able to understand each other, pretty much for the most part, Nahuatl speakers can understand each other no matter the region. I'm not a native speaker, so I have a slightly different harder time, but for the most part, I can understand. The grammar is pretty much the same, and the core of it, the core structure is exactly the same. But like for example, in our variety, we might say we might pluralize a word one way, and they might pluralize it a slightly different way. So that's why at the beginning of like the class, people were asking me if they should study classical Nahuatl, and I said yes. The reason is classical Nahuatl has a lot of those details in there, and when you learn them, then you kind of know, oh, they're in this variety they use tin to pluralize things, whereas in my variety we use me to pluralize things. So that's why I think it's important to study classical Nahuatl. But of course, I mean, you don't necessarily have to, because we're going to be teaching Wastaka Nahuatl, but it does help because you kind of see like where things come from. Are there any slang words? Every language has slang words. I don't know that many. I only know one bad word. But of course, there's slang words. I'm just not as fluent to know all of them yet. But of course, every language does. There's bad words too. There's a whole book on bad words in Nahuatl. Nahuatl has them. Tell us a bad word. The only word that I know for like a fact is tepoli. Tepoli is like estúpido. So that's the only one that I know so far. I'm using that tonight. So it's tepoli. Yeah, tepoli. A lot of people usually ask on the first class, how do you say I love you? I'm gonna give you a straightforward answer. It's Nimitztlazotla. Nimitztlazotla. It literally means ni, I, mitz, to you, and tlazotla, love. Nimitztlazotla. This structure of I to you, love, it doesn't make that much sense in English, but if you speak Spanish, this is much more like yo te quiero, or yo, well, in this case, yo te amo. Yo te amo, like that. Nimitztlazotla, yo te amo. I to you, love, is what Nahuatl says, the way Nahuatl says it. All right. No other questions? No more Tlatlanilistli? I guess I was clear.
I'm sorry, I have a super fast one. I was a little late, I'm sorry. Did you mention how many weeks this course is?
So I have a preset plan that has 20 to 30 classes. The reason I'm giving you a range is because I have them planned out, but sometimes I split them up or combine them to make them more easy to digest. My goal every week is to make it easy to understand so that you're not like overwhelmed. And so it's about 20 to 30 per course, where it says course 1, course 2, course 3, like you saw at the very beginning. I already have those pre-planned out. It's just a matter of actually making the classes, like the actual slides. In fact, you know what, that reminds me, I need to send everybody the Google Drive. Maybe that's the actual screen that I need to. So let me send you all the link to the Google Drive. So in case you didn't get it, because some people didn't get the newsletter for some reason. Let me give you the link, and then click on this link. This link is the folder. On the left, you're gonna see Chantekit, which means homework. And on the right, you're gonna see the class slides, or which means lessons. And so you can go there, everybody has access to it all the time. And essentially, I go in there and I update it. You also find homework. I did lesson number 2, so you could totally do that. And you'll see that class 1 doesn't have, oh, sorry. Okay. So you have access to all of the classes and homework. I haven't made them all yet. But here is the link. I have week 1 and week 2 done. You have homework that you can do. And let me know. You can get ahead if you want. You'll see that in next week, I pretty much give you help. We're gonna practice on pronunciation. So a lot of people have trouble with that in now. All right, man, this group is very Literally, the first group was asking me philosophical questions like, what is the meaning of this? What's the meaning of that? What do you think about this identity thing? Do you think Mexicans should do this? I'm like,
We're the third group, the shy group.
you're the shy group. You're the introverts. I'm an introvert too. I know I don't seem like one on screen, but in my real life, I'm an introvert. So I get it. I understand the struggle. I get it. If you're a shy introvert like me, go on the chat and put your question in there. I get it. You don't want to be on screen. You want to be recorded. That's fine. I understand that. How do you say shy in Nahuatl? Truth be told, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm about to look it up for you. We are the studious group. Yes. All right. I'm about to look up shy for you because I don't remember. Later on in the course, I'm going to teach you how to use the dictionaries in Nahuatl, because there are some really good dictionaries out there. And so just because you don't know a word in Nahuatl, that's not an excuse. You could look it up. But my freaking program's not working. But yeah. Okay, so it's the dictionary that I have. There are some online dictionaries, but then I also have a program called Personal Lexicon, which is the program that allows you to make a dictionary. And so my whole group, we compiled this gigantic 10,000. I don't even know how many words are in it. According to this, it says 33,000 word dictionary. It has all kinds of amazingness. It has the Wastaka words. It has classical words. It has Guerrero words. It's bad. So let me see. Let me look up shy. Shy or tímido. Shy.
Is this an online dictionary?
No, the one that I have is a program that I have downloaded to my computer, and it's here it is. It's a program, and then you can import the file. So I'll essentially just have to send you the file and then tell you to download. The program is called Personal Lexicon, and I have to send you the file, and then you have to import that file, and then that file has a whole ton of words. But of course, there are also online dictionaries. If you go to, I think the Oregon University has a really good one. That one's highly recommended. If you type in like Oregon and Nahuatl dictionary, you'll find a really good one that you could find online. So you could do that right now. Okay, so the word for shy in, oh, that's classical Nahuatl. I have two for classical Nahuatl. I'm trying to find the Wastaka Nahuatl version of it. If I don't, I'll tell you the Wastaka. Oh, then I think too much to be very shy. Oh, okay. See, there is a way to say it in Wastaka Nahuatl, but it's gonna confuse you a little bit. Okay, the word is weyimati. Ni weyimati. It's not actually an adjective in Nahuatl, it's a verb. And so you would say ni weyimati. Ni weyimati. This means I am shy. But literally it's really saying I think highly of myself. And so this needs some explanation. In Nahuatl, this word weyimati, it means two things. It means I'm proud, but it also means I'm shy. And the reason is because sometimes when you're like a proud person, kind of like me, you're shy. And so you like don't necessarily want to approach people because you think so highly of yourself. You think people's thoughts may contaminate you. And so in Nahuatl, they kind of envision you as like a standoffish person. And so weyimati is like, oh, you think so highly of yourself. You're very shy. So this is ni weyimati. However, I'll give you the classical Nahuatl word for this. The classical Nahuatl word would be yolchichik. 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 So now that I'm thinking about what that means, so I believe chichik means sour. And yol is heart. So literally, I think this is sour heart. So let me double check the chichik for you, but I believe this translates as sour heart, a person with a sour heart. So you see from the construction of the words how Nahuatl people see like the world, right? That's why they tell you like, oh, when you learn a language, you see like their vision. Well, this is part of it. So let me look up chichiks to 100% verify that for you. Chichik. Yeah. So chichik does mean sour. So yolchichik literally means a person with a sour heart. and they interpret that as shy. So you see, kind of, you see in classical, it was like, oh, you have a sour heart. And in modern now, oh, you think so highly of yourself, you stay away from people. You see, it's changed. I am both. Me too, for real, for real. I love that, words with meaning like that. Our ancestors were rough on each other. Oh, trust me, you should look up the bad words. There's a whole PDF. I think it's like Santa Ana Tlacotenco bad words. Google it. It's available on the internet. Look that up. There are bad words in Nahuatl, and there's some crazy ones out there. It's funny how all introverts ended up on this Friday class. Yes, because you're all not out partying. Well, I guess you can't party in a pandemic, but whatever. I'm at work. Yes. Is the dictionary available as an app or just as a web page? So the Oregon Dictionary is available on a web page. I don't think that they have it as an app. But the application that I have on my phone is available as a computer application. It also has a phone application, but it's not very good. It kind of freezes on you. I wonder if you want to gossip on someone, do you just add more words to make it long? I mean, I don't really know what that means, but Nahuatl has words for like chisme. It has words for, talking behind someone's back. It has, they're colorful. It's a whole language, It's like German. Classical Nahuatl had a word to make something derogatory, but a modern Nahuatl doesn't. But you could, I believe it was either poli, I think it's pol. It's either pol or, it's something like poli or soli. I think it's soli. I think, so for example, if you had like Cali, which is a house, and I think if you say calzoli, I think it means like broken down house. So by adding that soli in classical Nahuatl, you make it derogatory. I believe. You have to double check. It's in that classical book by Michael Loney. It's in there. I just don't know it all like 100% all the time. I'm not trying to like be derogatory all the time. Regarding pronunciation in general, do we stress the second to last syllable of a word? Yes, we're about to cover that next week, but the answer is yes. Nahuatl doesn't need accents because it's always stressed on the second to last syllable. You notice that pattern, you got it. That's the pattern. It's all words on Nahuatl, second to last syllable, no matter how long the word is. It could be 20 syllables. It's still stressed on the second to last. So let me give you a really long word like ash, ni, needs, ash, nitin, wiki, li, tinemi, yaya. So this word, ash, nikin, wiki, li, tinemi, yaya, it means I wasn't going along bringing them things. That's a whole sentence in Nahuatl, okay? Ash nikin wiki li ti nemi yaya. But still, the loudest syllable on that word is ya. That second to last ya, okay? Doesn't matter how long the word is. Ash nikin wiki. And that's not even the long. You can make them so long, it's crazy. Say it one more time. Ash nikin wiki liti nemi yaya. Ash nikin wiki liti nemi yaya. And that one I just made up. Okay. So once you reach master Nahuatl level, you're gonna be creating those sentences.
I have a quick question. Well, two actually.
Go over it.
My first one, I was just wondering, how do we, what's the greeting word, when we're meeting people?
There are a few. So piali, that one is more modern, but literally it means like, to pilla means like to well, pilla has many meanings, but like kind of like take care of yourself, even though that's not that good of a translation. But piali, it's hi and bye, either one. But that one's more modern. And then there's also ni mis tlapalos. Ni mis tlapalos is like I'm greeting you, como en español, yo te saludo. It's ni mis tlapalos. And then there's also other ones like, let's see, Tiasicoya. Tiasicoya, these are all Wastaka greetings, but Tiasicoya literally means you've arrived. So you could greet somebody saying, you've arrived, Tiasicoya. And they'll be like, yeah, que na, bueno, bueno. They'll say bueno, like you've arrived. And then the thing is that in traditional Wastaka greetings, a lot of the time it's not a specific word, it's more an observation. Like, let's say I'm walking and I'm watching somebody doing something, I will greet them by saying what they're doing. So let's say they're cutting grass, they're cutting their field, or they're, they're with, they're drinking something. You would say, hey, you're drinking something. And they would be like, yeah, I'm drinking something. So that's more the style. That's the traditional style to greet. But there are a lot more phrases, but that's like just. Okay, so once somebody wants, so piali, hi or bye, hi or bye. And then there's nimitztlapalos. Nimitztlapalos, it's like saludos. Nimitztlapalos, nimitztlapalos, saludos. Saludos. And then we have, what's the other one? Tiasicoya. 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 You've arrived. You have arrived. You have arrived. Oh, I forgot the D. You have arrived. And but then, like I said, it's kind of flexible because it depends on what they're doing at that time. Or you might say, oh, I'm going over there. Like, niya, I'm going over
there. And then the other question that I had was when, like, say, for example, na means like we're referring to ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm. Kena?
So, like, and we will put na with other words, like it would be like na masewali.
We're gonna talk about that in a future class, but I'll tell you this. Do you speak Spanish?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say you want to say yo como, I eat, right? When you say I eat in Spanish, you say yo como, but that yo is optional. You could also say como. So that on the verb comer, you add that little o at the end to make it be referring to I. So if you say como, you automatically know that it refers to I. So when you say na, that's equivalent to saying yo in Spanish. But when you say there's let's say ni tlacua I eat, that ni is like adding that o at the end. It means this is about me. I'm the one doing the action. Kind of like the o in como, or you could compare that to como, comes, come, etc. In English, we kind of don't really have that other than a little s after eats, but pretty much everybody is eat. I eat, you eat, he eats, they eat, everybody is eat. So it's not that clear in English. But basically the na is optional, just like it is optional in Spanish. You could say yo como, like this, yo como, or you could just say como. And the equivalent in our would be na, ni tlacua, and ni tlacua. So as you can see, the na is optional, just like the yo is optional in Spanish. Those pronouns are not necessary, but you do need to know them because some sentences require it. For example, when you saw earlier where we're saying inin, aquí ya inin, who is this? Or if you want to say this is me, you would have to say inin na. This and then me. This is me, because the is implied. So that's why you need to know those pronouns. However, when you're using a verb, you must use the ni. You do not have to use the na. So I'm gonna have a lesson where I specifically point that out because people in my class tend to make the mistake a lot. But I'm telling you now that those pronouns, they're optional. You don't have to say them. And in some rare circumstances, you do need them.
Thank you.
Mhm. All right. Is there a formal like to address elders? Yes, there is a formal. Classical Nahuatl had a more developed formal structure. Essentially, what a classical Nahuatl used to do is they would have the verb and they would add mo to the front and lia or tilia, etc., to the end of the verb, and that would change the verb in such a way that it would be understood as a formal addressing to elders. But what has happened in the last 500 years is that Nahuatl in a lot of the varieties have lost the formal way of speaking. And there are some varieties that still use it, but it's a little bit more rare, but it does still exist. So if you go into that classical book that I told you, you can get all the details exactly of how the formal tense is. It's called the reverential tense in classical Nahuatl was constructed. If you're really curious, you can go in very deep. That answers the part about like the general grammar. But there are other ways to address somebody by adding a specific particle, which is a suffix called tin at the end of that word. So for example, I have here on Zoom the word kolot to mean scorpion. But if you wanted to address me more respectfully, you could take away the TL and change it to kolotzin. And then you're referring to me, but you're referring to me with respect. So like maybe when would you use this? Like you said with your elders, so let's say you're talking to your mom. So here is how you would say, this is how you say mom in Nahuatl, nantli, right? But the thing is, it's kind of, it's always used like whose mom. So you could say nonan, right? But nonan is not very respectful. So nonan literally does mean my mother, but you'll never really hear anybody say it that way, nonan. You'll hear them say nonanti, nonanti. Now they're saying como in Mexico, you might say madre versus madrecita. The madrecita is that ita, the ita part is the sin part. It's adding that respect. So that's how you could address somebody more respectfully if you wanted to. You know, even if it's a Spanish name, my Spanish name is Diego, you would be like Diegotzin. That makes it respectful. All right. Can you pronounce Nimisklapalos and Tiasikoya one more time? Well, I just did it by asking the question, but I'm about to do it again. Nimisklapalos, Nimisklapalos, and Tiasikoya, Tiasikoya. You have arrived. Wow. All right. If no more questions, there are no more questions. I can let you all go. Tlasokamatimiak, and sleep well. Kwali yowali. Good night. Timoitase. We'll see each other. Timoitase. Chicueguillok. We will see each other next week. Tlasokamatimiak. Timoitase. All right. Thank you all. Yeah. Good night, everyone, and study it up. Become Nahuatl masters, okay? You can do it. Timoitase.